Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Stamperia Magic Forest mini album tutorial series designed for ScrapNCreate. In this video, we are going to be adding some extra embellishments. This is completely optional. You do not have to do this if you don't want to, but this is going to give this little extra just bit of fun and just takes it to make it a little bit more magical. So we cut all of these little leaves in the very first video where I went through the supply list and we built the base pages. So this was at the end of that. If you didn't watch that video, you might want to go back and do that if you want to do this step. So now I have my leaf pieces. I'm also going to be using some of my little metal corners on some of the pages too. So I'm just going to be adding my leaves page by page throughout the album. I'm going to show you what I'm doing. You can do whatever you want. Obviously, if you're not using the same die, you might have a little bit of a different look to your pages. You can place these wherever you want, but I'm going to tuck them here and there around my pages just to try to make this look like they are actually in the forest. We're going to start on the inside front cover. I just have little tiny pieces here that are cut. For the first one, I'm going to place just a little bit of glue on the front of the stem because it is going to go here and actually attach to the back of my piece. This one, I'm going to be placing some adhesive on the front and back because it's going to go between this band and the piece. So I have a little tiny place that I can push that in, and I'm just going to place it there. Now I am going to leave these up in dimensional so that it really kind of pops these pages out. For the front of page 1, I'm going to be using one of my large corners. This came from ScrapNCreate with the paper. And then I'm going to put my pieces on, but I'm going to place my pieces on the page first, then I'm going to put my corner on. I'm going to leave it in the corner though, because I am going to tuck these pieces underneath of it, and I need to know where to place it on the page. I want to make sure my leaves don't hang off the edge of my page either, because I want them to be protected in the album, and anything that's hanging off has the possibility of being pulled from the band closure or whenever the person who's looking at it has their hands on it. So you just want to be really careful where you place these. Now that I have my leaves on, I'm going to go ahead and apply my little metal corner piece. And I'm using the larger of the pieces. There are 4 that come in the little baggie with all the pieces in it. I've got 2 large and 2 small. This is the larger. And I'll use the smaller ones later when I decorate some of the other pages. So I'm going to let this dry and this will be the first page we have done. We'll come back and do the rest of the pages in the album. For the back of page 2, I have taken some of my stems and cut them apart. I have this ephemera piece. It's right over top of the same piece on the page, but it's going to hide the ends of my pieces. So I'm just going to very slowly take each of these pieces and adhere down just the centers. And I'm going to start with this piece here and just placing my adhesive on the center stem. That way the leaves can add a little bit of dimension, and once they're firmly in the album, I can go ahead and kind of fluff them up a little bit. Now with this one, I'm going to place my pieces first, and then I will peel the backing off of my sticker. So this is how I'm going to leave the back of page 1, and then I'll be moving on to the front of page 2. Now I have just a general layout here, and I might add some more up here, maybe some down here, but I want it to look like these leaves are covering the doorway, and then I'm going to use the Magic Spell sticker. For this one, I'm actually going to take my sticker off, and I'm going to place my pieces first. I just have these rearranged on here, but this is the first one that I placed down. So I'm going to start with this one. And this is how I'm going to leave the front of page 2. For the back of page 2, this is how I'm going to be placing my leaves. We're going to come to the one behind this closure in just a moment. So I am able to tuck my stems just slightly behind that piece. I did lift up on the edges just a little bit so that I had that space. If you are not able to get behind your piece, it's okay just to stick it right up against the edge. I'm going to be placing my key piece, but I need to make sure that I don't place it over top of my magnet. And I want to keep it hidden by the piece on the front. So I'm going to place this and make sure so my magnet is here. I'm going to place this. Move it just a little tiny bit. And now it's completely hidden. So I'm going to go ahead and press down here, but I'm going to leave the top open just a little bit. And then I'm going to add my adhesive on this piece, but I'm not going to place it down until I close my flap first and see where I want this. So I need this to be right about here. Then I'm going to add just a little tiny piece on top of here to cover where there's that gap between the stem and the key. Now, keeping in mind that this is on the side of the magnet, it is not on top of the magnet, so it will still adhere nice and firmly. And this is how I'm going to leave the back of page 2. Now moving on to the front of page 3, I'm not going to put a whole lot just because this does have that look of the forest behind it. So I've got some little ones down here I'm going to remove for now. We'll put those on last. And I'm going to place these ones here first. So I'm going to be tucking it into this pocket here. So I'm actually going to be putting my adhesive on the front side of this piece. I'm going to remove my little tags so there's no glue on those. I'm going to place this and then I'm going to close to move this into position. I want to make sure it doesn't hang down the bottom of the page so it is protected when the album is closed. Then the same thing with this one, it's going to be tucked into the corner of this pocket. So the front bottom part is the only part that's going to have any glue on it. So on mine, that'll be these leaves here and this bottom section. Then I'm just going to move it in place until I like the look of the leaves and then press it onto my page. And now I can put my 2 tags back in my pocket. Then I have these little tiny bits and pieces that I'm just going to put at the foot of the deer, right on top of the ivy that is on the paper. And I'm just going to place a couple just to give it a little bit of extra dimension here, but not taking away from the actual image on the paper. And now we're finished with the front of page 3. For the back of page 3, I'm going to be tucking my leaves in around the leaves that are already on the closure. So I've just tucked little tiny pieces here and there throughout just to give this a more uniform look to match the other pages. So this piece will need to have some adhesive on the front of it to tuck in between my pieces. And then once I have that there, I will move it around on the page till I like the look of it. Now for page 4, I'm only going to put a few down here at the bottom. I don't want to take away from the image, and I'm going to use my ephemera piece to hide those ends. And I'm going to move these off, starting with this larger piece in the middle. I'm going to place my ephemera piece right at the corner of my page. And then I'm going to put my stem down where I can hide the end using this ephemera piece. And this is how I'm going to leave the front of page 4. For the back of page 4, I'm going to use one of my small corner metal pieces that I got with my paper from ScrapNCreate, and I'm going to add my foliage after I place this piece because this will take a little bit of time to dry, so I'll have plenty of time. I'm going to place my corner down here, just above the frame on the paper. And then I'm going to take one of the long pieces, cut some of the branches off the top, and I'm going to run this along here, tucking the end underneath my metal piece so that it frames the bottom of the flap but doesn't cut into this little label. Then I'm going to take my other larger piece and add my adhesive and put this coming out of the top. And I'm just going to add some smaller pieces down here around the bottom. I'm also going to add the other matching corner piece onto my flap at the top. And I'm going to place mine in the opposite corner. You could also place it here, but I'm just going to put mine here, and I'm not putting any leaves around it. With these two final pieces that I have cut, I'm just going to place them on my page here. And now I'm going to let this dry so that my metal pieces are adhered really well. But this is the finished page 4. So this is everything for embellishing all of the pages in the mini album. It is completely finished. Thank you so much for joining me on this tutorial series. I hope you have enjoyed making the Stamperia Magic Forest mini album. If you have just tuned in and been watching the series but haven't made the album, don't forget you can go to ScrapNCreate.com and purchase all of the papers. Everything will be linked in the description box below. A special thank you to ScrapNCreate for providing this paper and the opportunity to make this mini album tutorial for you. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.